Hi there. This is the first episode of the Frisbee Show, coming to you from Richmond, Virginia, at the World Overall Flying Disc Championships. And with me here today is Jack Cooksey, who is the director of the operation. And Jack, I know you can't take on something like this alone.
Oh, no. We have like 20 plus people on our staff, so it's a really good circle of people.
Wow. Well, it's worthy to note that at the first Octad in New Brunswick, which was kind of the forerunner of this event, we had 20 entrants.
Okay. So we've come a long way.
Yeah, I think so. And what kind of international draw do you have this year?
International draw, not as strong as it would be if we were based in Europe, because there are closer borders and you can get one or two players out of Italy or Germany. Here we have stronger contingents of fewer countries. So we have 21 Swedish players. We have about 7 or 8 from Chinese Taipei. We have 1 from Canada, potentially 1 from Uganda. There's a visa issue that is being worked on currently. And we have, of course, a bunch of Americans.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us a little for the general audience that might not be aware of what goes on at an overall. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about what events we're going to see here.
Okay, so it's 7 different events that are played by individual competitors. There's a little bit of a twist to it. 2 of the events are played as pairs. That would be freestyle and double disc court. But generally, an athlete will play in all 7 events and try to get a ranking in each event and then accumulate a score total that will rank them as an overall player. So that's why it's called the World Overall Championships.
And what are the 7 disciplines?
7 events are accuracy, which is our version of archery with discs. And we have distance, which is self-explanatory, throwing for the farthest mark you can get. Self-caught flight, which is also somewhat self-explanatory, where you throw, you run after the disc, and you catch the disc in one hand. And so we time one component of it for seconds, and then we measure the other component for meters. So you throw 2 different types of throws.
You throw and then catch it yourself.
That's
it.
Yeah,
I always called that the event for people with no friends.
You can still have friends who do it with you.
Oh, they time you.
Yes,
yeah, right.
Exactly. So then there is disc golf, which is a hugely popular disc sport by itself. And that is played 2 rounds in our tournament, and we play to a cumulative score to find the champions in each age division and each other gender divisions. And then we play, what am I leaving out? Discathon, which is a slalom course. The disc has to do the slalom course. The runner can cut the corners. So it puts a premium on both throwing and running, but if you're a really good thrower, you don't have to run as much. And so we do that. And then we also have freestyle, which is essentially the trick event. And we do that in pairs. So you and I would play as a team.
Great. You're on.
Oh no, I wasn't offering.
Oh, it wasn't a problem. I'm sorry.
I have a partner.
Oh, okay. It's my life.
So we would play as a team, and we would do cooperative moves together as well as our own combination of tricks, and we get judged and scored on our performance, our artistic presentation, our difficulty, our variety, and then there's double disc court, which is a 2-on-2 court game, which is, I always compare it, it's very similar to beach volleyball and some of the pace of it, and also would be like doubles tennis, except there are 2 objects in play at the same time.
Okay, now correct me if I'm wrong, but this sounds like a logistical nightmare. I mean, running the Super Bowl's a piece of cake. 1 game, 2 teams, they know the rules.
Right.
I mean, with this, don't you need like 7 different venues? And I mean, you're explaining self-caught flight to people from Taiwan. And I mean, isn't it really complex to pull something like this off?
Absolutely. And it took a whole year. It took a whole year to organize this, more than actually. So, and it is a lot of logistical considerations. You have to negotiate a contract for every venue. We don't have one master venue where we could do everything like an Olympic park. We just don't have that for disc sports because we use so many different kinds of spaces. So you're negotiating contracts with a university so you can have 2 days of your finale events on their field hockey field. You're negotiating with a city to use this beautiful park so that we can run discathon in it. We're negotiating with the soccer association so we can have the largest field possible to throw maybe 200 meters on that field.
Yeah.
And then we also are negotiating with another football club to use their facility for a smaller event like double disc court.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things occur to me. If for some reason you're still watching and you don't know about this, you may be thinking, "Oh, I get it. It's like the decathlon."
Right.
But is it?
It's much different because you have those pairs events, in my opinion. And my philosophy or my theory about that is that part of Frisbee is this invisible string notion that we carry around, and that's kind of the magic, is when you and I play together. I can do all of these individual things, but when you and I play together, whether it's something like double disc court, which requires a lot of communication in a very finite amount of time, or freestyle where we are kind of melding our creativity together, it tests another element, which is that cooperative element of disc play.
Nice. Well, okay, trivia boy. So in distance, it is like the decathlon. It's just one guy and that person scores the points and we're done, right?
Yes.
Do you know how they do decathlon? That's the weird thing about decathlon. It's the percentage of the existing world record that you score your points. So you and I are throwing distance. Let's just say you beat me in distance.
Maybe, yeah.
In our sport, you get first, I get second. Yes, I'm only 1 point behind Jack. I'm 150 meters behind you. In decathlon, you kill me because you're, within 3%, well, given the desert throws, not 3%, but you're way up there in terms of your percent out of the world record. I'm way back there. So many times people have said, "Oh, well, why don't we do it like decathlon? Because then it's cut and dried, and we can fix that problem." Well, of course, the issue is we have a lot of events that okay, what's the world record for discathon? For freestyle, for DDC, we don't have any of those. And so we've always used these rank orders and said, well, you take and you get. He beat you badly in distance, you just nipped him in freestyle, and that's the way it works out.
Yeah.
But I think people would agree, and just looking at it historically, and we've been doing this format, wow, how many years has it been since, we started doing multi-event when Ed Hendrick called me in to start doing the World Championships at the Rose Bowl. We just had a couple of events, and then I started to populate and make it complex and ruin your life. We've been doing it for a long time now, and we've had our ebbs and flows. With it being so complex, what do you think the future looks like? Because probably most of the people listening, if they're still listening, amazing. If
Thank
they're
you.
still listening, they're probably either golfers or ultimate players. And they're hearing this as kind of like an alien thing of table tennis players watching and going, beer pong sounds kind of interesting. It's the same equipment, and you get to be drunk. So is there anything that those specialists can take from this? Because they're probably not going to pack up and come driving down here, just to play golf, although we welcome them.
Absolutely.
Are there things about this that can help those games that they're working on?
I do think that when I coach ultimate players, I say if you learn to throw some of the discs that I know how to throw, that generally increases your disc literacy overall. And you can learn some tricks that are potentially very useful on a disc golf course or on the ultimate field.
Give me an example of a trick that's useful on the disc golf course. I'm just curious. You throw that out there like, okay, I'm on the disc golf course. Tell me a freestyle trick that you learned that would be useful.
Not a freestyle trick, but from double disc.
You don't have any freestyle tricks that'd be useful in golf?
Potentially.
Low hanging limb. Ever do that? Into a headwind, air bounce under the limb, up into the basket.
Air bounce.
Well,
Yes,
it's rare. It's
I've
rare.
done that.
I agree. It's rare.
I use a lot of my double disc court throws to get around, to get out of very jail-like positions on a very tight course. And so the throws that I throw in double disc court, which are very low and hard, fast, very vertical sidearm type throws, those come straight out of double disc court.
Nice.
And I'm confident with those
Yeah.
because I've thrown so many of them on the court. But I agree with you. There are some very subtle, nuanced throws that you get out of freestyle that you don't typically use on a disc golf course. But if you know those, for instance, that you put that in your bag.
And ultimate?
Ultimate, usually using a lot of hammers. In ultimate, I translate that to throwing hammers in into disc golf.
Sure.
But in disc golf, in overall, what translates, again, I think DDC, this idea of you touch the disc a lot in DDC. So an ultimate player who is more of a cutter doesn't have often the opportunity to really get good handling skills. But if you play DDC and you learn how to throw a very light, somewhat flimsy disc, we say if you can learn how to throw this disc, you can throw an
anything.
Ultra Star much easier. Yeah.
I'll give you one ultimate carryover, and you're gonna be the defender, okay?
Okay.
This is old school. Okay, the end zone's back here.
Yes.
You're defending me.
Yes.
I'm here on the mark. Okay, we ready? My cutter's going across.
You got me.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody defends that. No one stops that. Hey,
You're lefty.
We are going to come back on a repeated basis through the week. This runs how many days?
6 days.
6 days. So set that aside on your calendar. We'll be joined by others. Tita Ugalde, for one, is a co-host, and we'll be bringing in many other luminaries, a lot of them amazingly old. And so we hope you'll continue to join us.